The Honourable Madam Speaker, Honourable Prime Minister, Honourable Leader of the Opposition, Honourable Ministers, Honourable Members of Parliament, ladies and gentlemen. Madam Speaker, let me at the outset congratulate the Honourable Minister for Economy for the pragmatic yet forward-thinking budget for 2016-17. I note the particular focus in the national budget on trying to bring out disabled citizens into the mainstream, which should be applauded and encouraged. Besides our international human rights obligations, our disabled community in Fiji are entitled under our constitution to equal opportunities in paid employment, and so this aspect of the national budget is to be commended. I look forward to Parliament's endorsement of the Rights of Persons with Disability Bill that captures the most significant features of the UN Convention on the Rights of the Person with Disabilities. And also applaud the Honourable Minister for Economy for the public consultation undertaken to capture the various views of all Fijians in our national budget, particularly our young people. My ministry is also adjusting accordingly to the new fiscal year from the 1st of August to the 31st of July. We also look forward to submitting the 3-year and 5-year budget submissions starting from next year. Madam Speaker, the long-term outlook of the national budget for 2016-17 and indeed government is reflected on how we conduct Fijian diplomacy, securing a better future for all Fijians through excellence in the delivery of our ministry's objectives. This national budget, as had previous budgets under the Bainimarama government, continues to provide the bedrock for the implementation of our foreign policies. On the overview, the latest national budget juggles well the need for assistance and rehabilitation post-Cyclone Winston and the need for continued investment in infrastructure development and other important priorities of government. From a foreign policy perspective, I can say that my ministry has tried to make best use of the resources that are allocated to us. In fact, the recent election of our Ambassador Peter Thompson to the presidency of the 71st session of the United Nations General Assembly in September is a prime example. The other candidate was Cyprus, who ran a very well-funded, sleek campaign over the last 5 years for their candidate. In fact, at one point, all the odds seemed stacked against us, with over 128 written pledges for Cyprus. Madam Speaker, that's 128 out of 193 member states of the UN who had given their written support to Cyprus. However, given the mandate by our Honourable Prime Minister, we made the best use of what we had, often over coffee, tea, or even impromptu meetings in hallways at international events. We brought our best Fijian Bula smiles and spirits and talked even with those who had pledged support for Cyprus. The successful end result is a credit to teamwork, determination, and a commitment to optimizing the resources given to us by the government. And I thank the Prime Minister and the Government of Fiji for their support of Ambassador Thompson's campaign, and also our High Commissioners, Ambassadors, headquarters staff, and our mission in New York for all their hard work. And also, Madam Speaker, I also want to thank the Chairperson of African Union, Dr. Dlamini Zuma, for using her influence on the 54 member states of African Union to support our bid for the PGA 71. Next, in fact, I met her on the 27th of May in Addis Ababa after the opening of our embassy, and she promised to speak on our behalf to the member states of the AU. We are also mindful of the need to maintain this momentum without compromising on the needs of all Fijians affected by Cyclone Winston. Our national budget for 2016-17 keeps a delicate balance between consolidating national economic growth and also ensuring cyclone rehabilitation work continues in earnest for all Fijians. While the Ministry has been busy helping to facilitate the assistance from our development partners, Tropical Cyclone Winston also hit some of our own ministry staff members in a very direct way. One of our own protocol officers was on hand to greet the New Zealand Defence Force team that finished the first aerial survey of affected areas in Ra, his own province. There had been no communication from the village, so he was not prepared for what happened next. The New Zealand team displayed some of their photos to him, and one of them was his family house, totally demolished, with only the concrete foundation left. He was immediately given time off by the ministry to tend to the family's needs. Our ministry also organized assistance for him and members of his village. As the Minister for Economy pointed out in his budget address, the Fiji National Provident Fund has played a major part of helping our people, like our protocol officer, to help rebuild their lives. It is assuring to note the strength of the fund in maintaining economic growth and helping Fijians in time of dire need. On current world affairs, let me assure this Honourable House, Madam Speaker, that the Ministry continues to keep close tabs on the developments in Europe. Suffice to say, our missions in Brussels and London provide regular updates to headquarters. We are mindful of Fijian families that may feel the immediate impact in the loss in value of the British currency, particularly in relation to remittances. While we may be physically far removed from the current events in Europe, we continue to monitor events and propose necessary contingency plans as we see fit. Madam Speaker, if I may digress a bit here, and I would like to congratulate the Minister for Economy for the allocation of $30,000 for potential medal winners at the Rio Olympics. It is not surprising that our Vodafone National Sevens team are potential gold medal winners, with all due respect to other sports. I was just reading the New Zealand Herald last Friday, Madam Speaker, and the Kiwis have already given up hope. They have said that they will not win neither the men's or the women's sevens gold medal. And they see that this rugby writer was saying that Fiji will win the gold medal. Since the days of the Waisele Serevi, our sevens team have redefined the phrase sports diplomacy. In fact, our sevens success opened up opportunities that we didn't think were possible. Let's also not forget Vijay Singh, another great sports ambassador for Fiji, who continues to proudly fly the Fiji flag in international golf tournaments. The Minister for Economy, the Minister for Industry, Trade and Tourism, and also the Minister for Youth and Sports can agree with me that sports diplomacy is becoming more and more a useful tool to advance Fiji's interest in the global stage. In fact, the Chiefs Crusader Super 15 rugby game played last Friday night could be the first of many international rugby events packaged for maximum benefits for Fiji. The events are also a test of our ability to hold world-class events, which turn out to be a great success. We look forward to the day, Madam Speaker, when Fiji shall feature on the IRB Sevens calendar. Our overseas missions stand ready to facilitate negotiations with stakeholders and the necessary line ministries for this to happen. And also that there are increasing queries for Fijian rugby coaches in Asia, given the success of our Vodafone National Sevens team. China, for example, Madam Speaker, plans to have 1 million rugby players by the year 2020, and they are already looking for rugby coaches. It is, as highlighted by the Minister of Economy, part of the paradigm shift in exploring new opportunities to broaden our economic revenue base. Also, our continuing support for the Fiji International Golf Tournament in Atandola in October will reap massive dividends this year as the tournament is added to the European tour. From a purely marketing perspective, the exposure to millions of homes around the world would be invaluable. This kind of exposure would normally require a massive budget that we now get for a fraction of the cost. Madam Speaker, allow me to continue to emphasize the need for investment in the development of our multilateral and bilateral partnerships. The Ministry for Foreign Affairs continues to build upon the widening scope of diplomatic relations we enjoy with 178 countries of the world. We also enjoy the support of line ministries in advancing Fiji's interests in the areas of tourism, employment opportunities, and investment and trade. In the new budget, there is an allocation of $200,000 for the hosting of the 45th Colombo Plan consultative meeting later this year. We will be hosting the meeting for the first time since we became a member of the Colombo Plan in 1972. Spearheaded by our mission in New Delhi, this conference augurs well for multilateral cooperation in the Asia-Pacific region. The Colombo Plan in itself is a 27-member regional organization supporting intergovernmental efforts to strengthen economic and social development of member countries in the Asia-Pacific region. My ministry is keen to build on the successes of the past in terms of multilateral and bilateral development cooperation. Supporting the Colombo Plan meeting is one of the ways forward to achieving this. The strength of relationships in bilateral and multilateral cooperation agreements was seen with the outpouring of support from our development partners after the Cyclone Winston. In good Fijian fashion, a lot of these relationships have been built on pure friendship, not just through institutional channels. As the Minister for Economy pointed out, our development partners were also more than happy to assist because of the positive projections of our economy that are an outcome of political stability. They share our government's long-term vision for the prosperity of all Fijians. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs also looks forward to assisting with our government's aim to expand our economic base. I note the increased funding allocation to help stimulate growth through film and television projects that boost business, create jobs, and promotes Fiji as a place to live, work, or visit. I'd like to suggest, Madam Speaker, stakeholders like our Fiji National University School of Film exploit this opportunity to use ready-made opportunities like the build-up to the Rio Olympics to tell the stories of our 7 heroes. Overseas media are already visiting places like the home of 7-star Jerry Tuai in Newtown, Suva, to highlight his background and subsequent rise to fame. Why not create a film about our own 7 heroes? Our homegrown film industry should take heart from recent film projects by Polynesian filmmakers, particularly in Samoa, that have become box office hits around the region, particularly with the Pacific diaspora community. Madam Speaker, our international standing is at an all-time high, as seen in the result of the UNGA presidency elections. We are in excellent standing in the international community. It also shows that the trust that has been bestowed on us by the Pacific Small Island Developing States, who gave Ambassador Thompson their full backing for the UNGA presidency. We also note the continued support of our government's multilateral diplomacy interests. Firstly, the provision of $1.3 million to support the operation of the Pacific Islands Development Forum, or PIDF. The PIDF, since its inception, has grown in leaps and bounds. It is now a legitimate regional and international player, with the recognition of its charter by the United Nations. The Pacific regional architecture, too, has been redrawn since 2009. The PIDF represents a more inclusive approach to regional governance. At PIDF summits, leaders of industry, civil society, and governments can sit side by side to discuss important priorities. It has been said that Fiji punches above its weight diplomatically. However, this has come about because the government, under the leadership of our Prime Minister, has had to make some hard choices and change the way we do business with the international community. Perhaps the words of our first Prime Minister and Foreign Affairs Minister, the late Ratu Inoke, speaking in this very House, in reply to the 1973 Appropriation Bill on the 7th of December 1973, and I quote, "A mind that does not change with changing circumstances is an undeveloped mind," end of quote. Even with a focused budgetary approach on assistance and rehabilitation, we still aim at keeping Fiji's voice in international forums loud and clear. As I said, the PIDF has been very much part of the government's Look North policy, where we engage with non-traditional development partners in search of new opportunities. We also acknowledge the allocation of $400,000 for the Melanesian Spearhead Group meetings in the new financial year. Madam Speaker, the Honourable Prime Minister has stated in the past about the need for due diligence and transparent financial dealings at the MSG Secretariat. We have stood our ground and declined to support any unjustified increases in their budget and directed them to live within their means. The reality is MSG needs Fiji, and we need MSG, and the Pacific would be poorer without this collective cooperation. The issue of MSG also raises the prickly issue of West Papua. Suffice to say that budgetary speeches are not usually the forum for dealing with these kinds of issues. However, it must be noted that at the recent senior officials and foreign ministers meeting held at the Waterfront Hotel in Lautoka a few weeks ago, both the Indonesians and West Papua delegations sat in the same room to engage in meaningful dialogue. The resolution from the foreign ministers meeting will be discussed at the MSG leaders meeting in Honiara next week. The MSG, like the PIDF, remain important regional forums for advancing Fijian national interests. With the appointment of the new Director General for MSG, our very own Ambassador Amena Yauboli, MSG looks to be in good hands. Formerly at the helm of PIDF, Ambassador Yauboli is a seasoned diplomat, leader and administrator who will ensure Fijian taxpayer funds are put to good use at the MSG Secretariat. Melanesian countries are much stronger together in the fluid political economy of the world. Our economic opportunities are also underrated, and we need to realize, particularly with Papua New Guinea, the enormous opportunities there are. Suffice to say, Fiji, the future on the international stage augurs well. We have a strong voice at the regional and international level. Madam Speaker, I thank the Minister for Economy for the 2016-17 national budget, and with this comes my wholehearted support, and I commended it to the House. Just before I sit down, Madam Speaker, I think I have a few minutes. I'd like to pose a question to the Honourable Leader of the Opposition and to my friend on the other side of the House, Mr. Delco. How is it that you have a party leader from outside the House? By convention, the party leader is always a member of Parliament. Don't you have people? I was excited to read in the papers the Honourable Kilraki, the Honourable Ratu Inoke Kubuabola, the Honourable Ngavoka. Names were being put up to be party leaders. By convention, if you look at all the parliaments all over the world, party leader is always a member of Parliament. That's just a question I'd like to put to the Honourable Leader of the Opposition. Thank you, Madam Speaker.